What is going on, everybody? My name is Trevor Johnson. I'm here for the third episode of GroundWork for the Foundation League. Today, I am joined by Gimpee from Rated R. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm honestly just chilling. Temperatures finally dropped. It is very nice. So let's talk a little bit about Cold War first before we get to like team specific stuff. What are some general thoughts about the game so far? How do you feel now that we're a couple weeks in?
Overall, I think it's a good step that I went to 4v4 first off. And in general, I've liked Treyarch's competitive support. So to me, it's been nice. The meta changing has kind of sucked because it's kind of a goofy spot right now with potentially 4 ARs on a lot of maps and only one really viable sub. But I mean, it's not my favorite meta, but it's the game's good. The maps are decent. The pubs are still enjoyable. It's overall, I think it's a pretty good game. It's a good step in the right direction. Curious to see how the development process goes with the rest of it and see how the competitive support plays out.
Yeah, you kind of touched on this next one a little bit already with the guns and stuff. So you mentioned one viable sub. I've seen people use a couple, whether it be the MP5 or the 74U. What's your one viable sub?
For me, it's the 74U. The MP5 is very close range, and to get anything mid range or long range, it's for me. It seemed like you got to get at least one headshot and try to get like a headshot multiplier. But I mean, I've seen people use it, but for the most part, I've seen mostly 74Us. And it's for if you're competing against an AR, the 74U has a chance to win the gunfight, and where MP5s, if the AR doesn't miss a whole bunch of shots, you're probably going to get smoked. So I'm just to me, the 74U is the better option. I have seen people use the MP5 still though, but
Uh, yeah, 74U it definitely does have the range. Let's talk a little bit about the AR. So we're seeing the AK in the Krig. Would you call the AK like a flex gun almost, just because it's a little more easier to move around, things like that?
yeah, it can be hard at times to um like in game. It's hard to depend on like if it's a Krig, it's depending on the play style because I've seen people run a Krig like as a more of a flex gun, but the AK definitely does have the more short range and long range capacity where it's got the fire rate to back up the short range gunfights and the mid range, and but it also still has the accuracy and damage to compete long range. So it is a very good flex gun. So I mean it's not quite like the Maddox from Black Ops 4, but it's definitely I would consider that the flex gun right now in the current meta.
Yeah, and that for how long we have this meta, we will never know. There's always going to be gun patches come out and stuff like that, and I think it's a cool thing about this game is players kind of get to show their personality more than in Modern Warfare with like the different types of attachments and things that they're going to run. So that's enough about like the game and gun specific. Let's talk a little bit more about your team. Can you give us kind of like a team breakdown and like what roles each player is playing?
It's kind of been with the way the meta's been playing. We've all been running mostly ARs, but Tyler Fusion is our me and Tyler Fusion are like the two main ARs, and he's more of an aggressive, more of a slaying AR, and I'm more of the slower paced positional AR. I'm mainly holding down lanes. Bruce is our like main sub, and so he's been running around with mostly the 74U. Nursery Boy's kind of in a flex, like with the MP5, like the previous meta with the FAMAS that was in it, he was running strictly an MP5, and now he's kind of transitioned into running mostly a Krig and occasionally a 74U, depending on the map. So it's been a different adjustment for him. He's been having a harder time adjusting to an AR role, but he's coming around, and we've been working on things, so he's getting better. And so, but overall, yeah, it's me and Tyler Fusion are the two ARs, the two main ARs, and Bruce has been running the main sub with Nursey Boy kind of transitioning to the third AR and second sub role within this meta.
Okay. So you touch on a little bit about the maps and how they like how they play and stuff. The one thing I like to do is I like to see like what a player's favorite maps are for specific modes. So could you give me your favorite map for each mode that you're gonna play?
I think for Hardpoint it'd be Crossroads because it's kind of more. It's it's not more chaotic. It's not necessarily more chaotic, but it's faster paced and it's more um, three dimensional. You can actually have three lanes of the map, and there's not just a couple bottlenecks that you're forced to run through to break hills. You get multiple options. You can still break and hold spawns easily. It's not like on some maps where it's impossible to flip the spawns, and it's just a better overall map in my eyes than like let's say Garrison with like 2 lanes only. For S&D, I'd probably say Moscow, just because of the size of it. It's a good map for 4v4. It gives plenty of options for defensive plays and offensive plays, different routes you can take and angles to hold bomb from or defend the bomb from. Um, for control's a different one. I think for me, Checkmate is one of the better control maps just because it's not like the points aren't flooding one area. Like on Moscow, you have to flood on a site. You basically flood front, and there's only one other way you can push from really if the ARs are holding the back. So it's control's hard because offense is so hard to take. But I think for us, it would be Moscow would be our favorite control map or our worst control map, and I think Checkmate would probably be our favorite control map just because of the ability to take more than one route, and you're not really forced to go through one area.
So this one isn't really Cold War specific. It's more of me just being curious about it. So what's your favorite like third map game mode from any Call of Duty you've ever played?
For me, it would have to be CTF just because it's got these it's a better and to me it's a better overall competitive game mode. There's less randomness to it. You can manipulate the spawns a lot better with the higher respawn delay, and the running the flag has been kind of iconic in the start of competitive Call of Duty and like Black Ops 2 and like that was mainly where it's from. But like Control is it's so one sided where in CTF there's a preferred side, but you can do well on both. But with Control, it's so defense sided that you're almost not really playing Control. In this game especially, it's more playing TDM to fight for that defensive side in the last round. But to me, it's CTF. I've always liked CTF. It's it's more of a competitive game mode. There's less randomness to it. There's a lot of strategy involved where you have to hold the whole map control while trying to get the kills to pull the flag. It's to me that'd be the best one, the best third game mode in my opinion, and that was always my favorite one.
I think my favorite was probably Uplink. I had a lot of fun playing it. I had a lot of fun watching it too. But I definitely understand the CTF because that one's just so fun as well. So let's talk a little bit more about the team here. So how long have you guys been teaming together?
Me and Roos have been teaming. We teamed on and off since like the beginning of Black Ops 4. And I started playing with Tyler Fusion in Modern Warfare, and I've also been teaming with Nursey Boy since like the middle of Black Ops 4. So that's kind of on and off, and so as we've been for the most part, the three of us, me, Roos, and Nursey Boy, have been playing together since Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4. With Roos and Nursey Boy playing since like Black Ops 3, so they've played longer together. But then I jumped in Black Ops 4, and Tyler Fusion's kind of the new addition where I met him in Modern Warfare and played in a couple online leagues there and just played online with him, and that's kind of how I transitioned to this year.
Awesome. It's great to hear that there's definitely like some team chemistry and stuff. You guys know how each other plays. I've played together for a couple years now. So with that, what are your expectations for like the Foundation League? Well, what do you guys want to come out and accomplish?
Our main goal is obviously to win it. There are some good teams in this league that are probably, you look at a couple that are probably favorites to win it, but there are definitely some good teams in the league. So like, I think we'd be happy with a top 3 finish, but obviously we want to try to win it.
100%. And I'm looking forward to some of the matches and stuff too, just to get to see them and how all these teams are going to end up playing each other. So you mentioned some good teams. So what's kind of the one team that you have your eye on? Like that's the team to beat that you really want to make sure that you beat this season.
I think for me, it would be the Total Advantage squad of Dazzle, Jamal, Rami, and Doe. And I mean, I've met the owner Landon Huffman of Total Advantage at Minnesota last year, and I know the coach of their team pretty well. So that'd just be just more of a fun rivalry matchup. It'd be kind of fun, just because I know some of the guys behind the scenes there. So I think that would be a fun one. Also, I think another team that I think is going to be really good is the Three Kings team. That Oregoner there somehow he finds good players to roster for leagues and events ever since the first of AGN event you guys held with his first roster there. So I think that team will be pretty good as well.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing some of these matchups and seeing just how you guys interact and how you play. That's all I have for you. I just wanted to thank you again for joining us here on Groundwork, and just have a good rest of your day and good luck the rest of the season.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate that, and thanks for having me on. I have high hopes for this league, considering that it's AGN's been the best thing that's for the AM scene as of recent, and with Cheeto kind of hosting tournaments too, it's like it's been the AM scene is, although the open events aren't what they were due to the online spread, it's like the what I've seen with AGN, it's been a very good thing that you guys are doing over there. So it's, I think a lot of the AM community takes it for granted.